So I want to tell you the gist of what happened that night. So the story goes something like this. Sam Phillips was driving around Memphis with Jerry Lee Lewis. They were close to Graceland, and Sam decides to call Graceland to see if Elvis would be up for them to swinging by, sharing stories, hanging out, that sort of thing. So George Klein picks up the phone. Sam asks if it's cool that they come over. Elvis says, yeah, that's cool. Come on over. So they all get in the living room at Graceland. Sam Phillips, Jerry Lee Lewis, Alan Fortas, George Klein, Elvis. They're all sitting telling stories on the road, stories about their touring and the success they've all been having. So these stories were getting pretty descriptive, as you could imagine. So they couldn't really explain it anymore without both getting on the piano. So Elvis sat on one side of the piano towards the bass end of it, and Jerry Lee on the other. So they start playing together. Elvis would sometimes take some of Jerry's songs and play them, and Jerry Lee would do the same about Elvis's. If you can just imagine Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis playing at the piano, if ever there was like a lull in it, one of the guys would throw out a request, and they would both, Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis Presley, pick it up on the piano and sing. So this is where it starts to turn. Jerry start feeding off Alan Fortas, George Klein's energy about his own performing style. So Jerry starts to play up to them. Elvis, very confident guy, did not like it that his guys were just fawning all over Jerry. Now, Jerry was the superior piano player, but Elvis definitely had the voice, although Jerry could sing very well too. His career got derailed through his own little personal problems and demons that he had to face. The guys realized they were witnessing one of the greatest concerts right in their own living room. So Elvis calls a break. He says he has some people waiting for him at the Memphian, but Sam and Jerry are more than welcome to go with them. Sam and Jerry decline, and Elvis and the guys pile up in one of Elvis's Cadillacs. And as they're walking out to the Cadillac, Elvis turns to GK and says, hey, Jerry is one hell of a piano player, isn't he? So this starts Alan Fortas and George Klein just kind of feeding off each other as they get in the Cadillac and start driving to the Memphian about how great Jerry was on the piano. Oh, he was one of the best ever. Nobody can play like Jerry Lee Lewis. The whole time, Elvis is kind of silent, but they don't really realize this. So after a few minutes of them just praising Jerry Lee in front of Elvis in the car there, Elvis stops and says, well, if you SOBs like the way he plays so much, why don't you go work for him? Alan and Klein were kind of surprised about this and were quiet for a few miles, adding in a few comments about, just trying to make Elvis feel better. Like, hey, Elvis, he's good, but, he's like more of a live player. He's not good in the studio. But he was good playing along with you, Elvis. And Elvis was like, oh, shut up. I know what you're trying to do. So the ride continues in silence for a few miles as they're approaching the Memphian. Alan says out of the silence, man, that Jerry Lee, he can play. By that time, Elvis saw the humor in it, let go of his temper, and just starts laughing out loud as they arrive at the Memphian. So I'd like to thank my friend Christy Marie. She's a friend of mine on Instagram. She reminded me about this story, and I thought it'd make a great topic for discussion. Now, was Elvis really the one that was jealous of Jerry? No, not at all. It was actually the other way around. While Elvis may have been a little irritated in the moment, it was Jerry that was actually the one that was jealous of Elvis. Elvis had the more enduring career, selling out Madison Square Garden in 1972, 16 years after hitting it big. Yeah, Jerry, he had some success singing country in the 70s, but nothing like Elvis. It was actually one of the reasons why Elvis stayed away from Jerry Lee Lewis was because Elvis really found him very annoying. Jerry Lee made the comment when he saw Elvis perform in 1969 when Elvis made his comeback. He made some comments that Elvis should go back doing more rock and roll and not so many slow songs. And Elvis said something to the effect of, and that's why I still have a career and you don't.
By invitation, we went out a few days ago to the International Hotel in Las Vegas. Saw Mr. Elvis Presley. And he's out there rocking and getting it, and he's still getting it. He's got as much electricity as he always had. He's up there just giving it all that stuff.
Elvis Presley, he's dead. God rest his soul. Finally got rid of him. Finally got rid of him. Took a long time. Damn, he was a fine person. He was great.
So, guys, overall, I think there was a lot of mutual admiration between the both. They both came to fame in the 50s. Elvis a little before Jerry. We all know about the classic $1 Million Quartet, just the impromptu session where Elvis kind of jumped in on Jerry Lee Lewis and Carl Perkins and also Johnny Cash there at Sun Studios just after Elvis left and made it big in Christmas time 1956. Guys, that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed this story. Comment down below. Tell me what you think. Just for the hardcore, factual fans watching, which I do claim I am as well, this story actually took place as Jerry came back in the States and in the early 60s after marrying his 13-year-old cousin. And as usual, I'd like you to check out my Patreon. I have just about 50 videos exclusive to Patreon of FTD reviews. You'll see videos I put up on YouTube first, like maybe a month in advance, 3 weeks in advance, before they even live go on air on YouTube. Also gems that you've never seen. Also, my Bible page, check that out as well, King David 66. Hope to see you there.